We have an amazing guest today, my dear friend Tutson. He is the founder and CEO of Tiger Success, an organization that helps people to release their limiting beliefs, to empower them. He's a fantastic life coach that really cares about people and make sure they live in the most authentic way. I was browsing your Instagram the other day and I saw some really inspiring videos. I think something that stands out. There's so many voices are speaking up right now. There's a lot of people listening, and I really like your message of empowerment and really helping people to connect to themselves, to find their true story, their understanding of what's going on. I think your voice is one of the most powerful ones that I've heard. And thank you so much for coming on to Think Clever Show. Welcome.
Thank you, Stas. Seeing everything that you've been doing since I met you about a year and a half ago, started with, watching the whole Love Billboard thing. That was just amazing in itself. And then see you just get the Think Clever podcast going. And it's just a pleasure and a privilege to see that you're not just talking it. Because I remember when this was the genesis of this, and most people don't go make it happen. You made it happen. So it's inspiring to me, and it's just a pleasure and a privilege to actually be on the show with you. So thank you so much.
Thanks. You right before we started recording, you shared an awesome quote that I think will be perfect for launching the theme of this conversation. And yes. I would love for you to mention it and to expand on it as well.
Okay. So this came up for me last night, and it's the definition of systematic racism. And it goes like this: when you keep the fears, anxiety, and worries of the Black community in front of their face 24 hours, 7 days a week, during the greatest time of opportunity in all of history. That is systematic racism, because racism is about having power over other people, oppressing another person. So the only way to truly solve that is to empower the people that are being oppressed. But how is it that we can actually empower a group of people when we are focused on their victimhood and we're sharing their victimhood 24/7, 7 days a week? And most people, even now, as a Black man in America, they don't even address me as a man with capabilities, as a man with power. They look at me as, especially of other communities, they look at me as some victim in America. Are you serious right now? We have an opportunity in this world, I don't care where you live, where you're at, that you can absolutely get it. Technology has made it so that we can absolutely get it right now. We can change it for generations to come. So to address me that way or to look at the community that way and to address this problem that way, it's just only going to bring more of the same. So.
Thank you, Al. And I know you just released a few videos on your Instagram, which is, when I watched them, it really clarified so much for me about what's going on, but also internally, what's going on for a lot of people and what we can do about it in terms of creating a change, a long-lasting change, a change that's authentic. And you mentioned some principles in your videos, and I know it was a 2-hour video, and for people who would love to really get into the details and understand, I highly recommend checking out your IGTV. But for now, could you go over some of the main principles and the foundation behind them?
Well, the one thing I always like to bring up when I'm talking principles is for people to understand what a principle is. A principle is something that's based in truth. And what's important about that is because if something is true, it is true always. If it's based in truth, it's truth always, from the beginning of time until the end of time. So from this point forward to the end of your life, you can guarantee that result. Eric Thomas, I heard him say it even better than me. He said, on the other side of every principle is a promise. And that right there, it gives you an opportunity to move away from this word right here. And that's belief. See, when we say we believe something, what we're saying is that we don't know, right? That's what we're saying. We're saying we don't know. But the reason why we say we believe, and people tell you to believe, build your belief, is because we need to get our confidence up so that we can behave like we know. So belief is giving us the confidence to act as if we know, but we really don't know. So that's kind of foolish. But there's a way to live this world, live in this life where you can operate on principles, which gives you the know. Like, you don't have to know what the outcome is or the specific outcome in it is going to be, but you can know what that principle gives you in life. And so that was the premise of these videos, because what I was seeing, like I just said, was so many people addressing this subject matter from a victim mentality. Systematic racism, historical oppression, all these things. And I remember a few years ago, one of my mentors, he spoke about his grandfather, and his grandfather was on his deathbed. This was like in around 2006. And his grandfather said, man, if I had the opportunities that you have now, I would have killed it. And, that just really stuck with me. Like, yes, all these things have happened in the past. And yes, things happen now. I have every story that you can have about a Black man in America, police officers, all that stuff. You watch the videos, I talk about it. But how is it that we move into this world? How is it that we move in this world in a way that we can accomplish everything we want to accomplish? Because it's no different than anyone else's story. It's just a different set of circumstances, right? But with race, and I say this in video 4, in race, we take it personally. See, race we take personally. And if we can learn to depersonalize things, then we can move and just look at it as it is. Because as soon as you personalize it, as soon as you take it personally, then you get offended. And see, I learned this from the 4 agreements, right? And when you take something personally, then you get offended because on some level you thought you think about it as true for yourself. But when you can realize that what a person says or does has little or nothing to do with you or what you've done, and everything to do with them, then now you can see and move through any situation in life without any problems. You can move with speed because you have the clarity. And people say, nah, that's not true. Like, so someone call you, the N-word. That's offensive. Like, yeah, it is offensive, but I don't have to get offended because that has nothing to do with me. That's that idiot over there. You just told me who you are. You don't have nothing to do with me. You have no effects on me other than the power that I give you. See, in this subject matter about about racism, the greatest form of racism that we've seen is slavery. That's the greatest ill of oppression we've seen. So we all agree that slavery was bad, shouldn't exist. But slavery is the ability to control the situations, someone having the ability to control the situations around you. But the worst kind of slavery is someone having the ability to control the situation that's going inside of you. And so that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing so much of that. And teaching people to break away from that is what this was about.
Wow. Thank you, Al. You know, what you're saying is it can be applied in any part of life, you know,
Right.
not just what's happening right now. You know, it's I mean, what you're describing is a perfect path to empowerment, you know, not looking to what happens in life. Life is not happening to you, it's happening for you, you know, and seeing that yes, there's horrible things are happening in the world, and and we have a choice, you know, and you're talking about a change that's it's a lasting change. It's something that, you know, you're able to change something within yourself, and you will be more empowered to change the situation outside, you know.
Right.
And again, you know, this is very this is brutal time what's going on in the world, in the United States, you know, and everybody is hopefully doing their best, you know, some by listening, some
Yes.
by expressing, you know. I think we all want to for it to be a peaceful place when we can evolve more spiritually and actually
Yes.
make that leap. You know, I feel like the time is now, and you know, and getting out of that mindset of competition, that there is lack, you know, getting more into abundance and approaching it perhaps from that side. I know you have an awesome story about competition and abundance.
Okay. Yes.
I would love for you to share it.
And that's the this story is actually the genesis of this walk that I'm on right now, this principle walk that I'm on and that I teach is so very competitive person prior to 2010. I wanted to crush everybody in every situation. Game of cards, running to the car, it didn't matter. My philosophy in life was you didn't have the right to think that you could beat me. You're supposed to just come to play for fun. And if you thought you had the right to beat me, I needed to prove to you and crush you so you know that that's not the case. So in this journey I'm on, and I'm starting to formulate and see that principles are a way to live. I come across this book called The Science of Getting Rich, and it's principle based. There's talking about business and how to operate your business, but like you just said, every single thing, every single principle that he said could be applied in your life, and that's a key to understanding what is true. Because if it can be applied across the board, then you know it's true. And so it says that in this chapter, he's talking about business, and he was saying that if you are operating from the competitive plane, then that means you believe in lack, because it means that there's not enough out here in the world for you to have yours without you taking from somebody else. And he said, uh, what you need to learn how to do is operate from the creative plane and create your best self. And that bringing that value to the table, it would allow you to actually get all you want. And the significant part of that is this: it's a difference between being competitive minded and competing. You compete, but you don't compete through competitiveness. You compete through creation. And so I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Theory, business. Okay. 3 weeks later, I started playing tennis for the first time. And in Atlanta, it has the largest recreational tennis community in the world. Like, recreation tennis is crazy, competition everywhere. So I said, okay, if this is a real principle, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this principle and apply it to sports, right? Because sports, it's okay to be competitive, right? It's one of those things that you're supposed to be competitive. So I said, okay. So what I did was I only focused on creating the best player that I can be. So in a given match, when I was playing, I would only focus on getting better every point. I didn't care about what the outcome was. I didn't care about beating the other person. I only cared about getting better every point. And after 6 months of playing, I had people telling me I was lying about how long I've been playing. They were telling me, there's no way you've been playing for 6 months. No, no, you had to play when you was a kid. I said, no, I picked up the racket for the first time 6 months ago. And I was crushing people, not because I was trying to beat them, because I focused on being the best that I could be. And so that was like that was like the final moment where I said, yes, principles are the thing. This is the way to live your life. This is the key to moving away from the belief and getting into the principles. So
Wow. So, will you share with us some of the principles that you mentioned in your video 1 and 2? I think it's important to, you know, it was helpful for me to be able to apply some of that to everything that's going on, to be able to make my own I would say conclusion, my own summary,
right,
my own feelings, to understand what's happening, because everybody has their own they're expressing themselves. A lot of people are
right,
expressing through anger. A lot of people are expressing through pointing fingers. And there's a lot happening, And to me, even in the beginning, I was very hesitant to even create something, because I was afraid
mm,
that I'm going to say a wrong thing. I'm going to say,
right,
because I don't have, I'm not very knowledgeable in the history, but I do care about people. I do care about making sure that everybody's heard and everybody's empowered,
mm,
and that's why your message resonated with me, because it goes beyond there's so many ways to address this, and
right,
I can't say that one is wrong and another one is better.
right,
This is us creating our own story.
right,
This is us expressing how we can, and I'm doing it my way, you're doing it
right,
your way.
right.
We just happen to align in our path in life. But when I heard some of your videos, I resonated with them, because I have been applying some of them, throughout
Right,
my life to other situations,
right,
and that's
right,
why it was great. So, please, you don't have to go through all of them. People will have
right.
to go check it out on their own to go more in detail. But maybe the top three that you like, or more.
Well, I think you hit on something that I could introduce, like the first two, which comes from, you said we all telling a story. So the principle the first principle that I talked about in part one was vetting the story that's being told to you, because we often don't react to a situation. We we react to the situation, the story of the situation that's being told to us, either but to us, or the story that we tell ourselves about the situation that happened. So this is in life in general. So I actually summed it up in part four by saying this: when our perception is tainted through the lenses of our beliefs, our feelings, our likes, our dislikes, when our perception is tainted, we tend to value our perspective over everything else, our opinions, the stories we tell ourselves about the thing, whatever. But the key to life and the key to navigating anything is to see life as it is. And that's what Tiger is about. It's about teaching people the power of seeing life as it is. So to do that, um, your perception has to be clear, untainted, away from your opinions, your thoughts, your all these things. So in order to vet the story that's being told, is you have to be able to really disconnect from your opinions and just look at it as it is. And here's a test. People, like, one of the things you keep saying right now, like when Black Lives Matter got really going after the Michael Brown case, there was a statistic that they used to really generate the support. And they said that a Black man is killed every 28 hours by by law enforcement in America. very true stat. However, using the same information, they if they were really wanting to uh, see life as it is, they would have said that in America, every 14 hours, a white person is killed by law enforcement. See, that changed the narrative, right? Because now it's like, whoa, are black people being, mistreated more than white people, blah blah blah, and all these things, and that's why you have to always vet the story that's being told to you. What is it? What's happening? What's going on? And the situation that has caused everything that we're talking about is George Floyd. That was a life that got taken, not a black life, a life. And that's the one thing that if we want something to move, if we want a society that's not that treats everyone the same, then we need to look at everyone the same. And one of the ways to start looking at everyone the same is start to addressing everyone as the same. So I'm not going to look at you and say, Stas, you're my white friend. Just like I don't want you to look at me and say, Al, it's my black friend. It's just my friend. And if we can drop these labels, then we can understand that his life was important because life is important. That's extremely important. So seeing life as it is to understand that we have to vet the stories that's being told to us. That's very important. One of the information you see that's coming out right now is that the officer that kneeled on the evil ass officer that kneeled on this guy's neck for 8 minutes knew George Floyd. They worked together at a bar and had disagreements or beef. So part of this could have been very personal, not racial, but personal. But we never even get to that place because we jump. And we don't jump as a people. The story gets fed to us. So the first thing I told people is always vet the story that's being told to you. Then the number 2 thing was vet the story that you tell yourself. Because we place meaning on things. So it's not the thing that happens. Someone calls me, for instance, I tell a story. I had a certain kind of car fixed up a certain kind of way when I was in college, and I got profiled very, very much, and I got pulled over a lot, and all these different things. Now, at no time was I ever felt like I was in danger. Now, I got pulled over with cops with their gun out. They walking up to my car with their gun already out, or hands on holsters, all these different things. But I never had a situation that I was afraid simply because that wasn't the story that I told myself. What's the isness of it? Because I had police officer friends, I understood that gentleman is a mother, that person is a mother, father, sister, brother, a husband, wife. That person has somebody that loves and cares about them. So I didn't look at them as this thing that's trying to, even though some of them was evil and some of them was like just being jerks, but I look at them as a person that wants to go home. That was the story I told myself. And so it was easy to navigate every one of those situations, every single one of them, because I vetted the story that I was telling myself. So in any situation, you have to vet the story that you tell that's being told to you, and then vet the story that you're telling yourself about it. And make sure that it's just what is. It's just the isness of it. And if we can bring everybody back to the isness of it, then we can actually solve problems in this world. So
Wow.
those were 2 that I talked about.
Even if you just apply this too, I feel like life can be transformed, because it's you have to constantly apply, I've been applying them in a different way, and
Right.
that's exactly what it is, especially the things that I tell myself. I mean, that's the whole point of releasing limiting beliefs. For me, I impose on myself so many limiting beliefs, and I tell myself so many different stories that prevent me from achieving certain things in life, because I keep feeding myself a story of that I'm not capable of achieving certain things, and just all of that, and it almost like start with what story you're telling yourself, because that is 24/7. The
24/7.
TV, the news you can turn off, but there is no off button here. Even during my meditation, this one keeps going. I have to like do some music in a meditation, something that just deletes this. But Al, thank you so much for sharing this, because I think I can already feel that some of the people that will watch this, they they I really hope that everybody will hear what you're really trying to say, and go
Yeah,
beyond
yeah,
the surface levels of maybe irritation or feeling like there's a certain disrespect to what's going on.
yeah,
Like I said in the beginning, everybody has their own way of seeing life, of contributing to life, of helping others people see life in a different way. There's people
yeah,
who are expressing themselves in the street in a peaceful way, in a non-peaceful way. There's so much, and
yeah.
I really appreciate the way you're doing this, and I hope that people will understand the goodness that's inside, where this is coming from, and they can apply these principles and the others that you have in your videos. So I highly recommend. Can you please mention your Instagram and your website? How can people
Yeah.
connect with you and learn more?
Easiest way at Tiger Success Inc. Facebook, Instagram. You can see the series. It's a 4-part series talk, and it's up there. And you can contact the information if you want to contact me. You can contact me there. Just you know what you. Can I say one more thing?
As many things as you like.
I something you said is another. It was another principle that I spoke about is dropping our desire to judge. So we part of telling ourselves a story, the reason why we need to is because we're behaving emotionally. We're driven by our emotions. And when you live in a way that's driven by your emotions, you have to categorize things as a good. So if I'm going to be for something, I have to deem that thing as good. If I'm gonna be against something, I have to deem that thing as bad. And things are not good or bad. They're just it. And I tell the story in of one of my tennis partners, and he says, "Al, you speak differently." I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, you just from time to time you just phrase things differently. I said, "Can you give me an example?" He's like, "No, I can't really think of anything." And I said, "Well, what you're probably hearing is my commitment to speak truth at all times." And he's like, "No, no, no. What do you mean? No, no, you mean your truth?" I said, "No, I didn't say that. I said truth at all times." And he said, "No, you have a truth. I have a truth. We all have a truth." And I said, "No, the best thing I've ever heard about that is truth is singular. Your versions of it is a lie." And he said, "Nonsense." I said, "Okay, let me prove it to you." I said, "There's no such thing as good and bad." He said, "Of course there is." I said, "Tell me something that's good or bad." He said, "If I pull out a gun and shoot you in the chest right now and kill you, that's bad." I say, "No, that's murder." And he said, "Murder is bad." I said, Why is murder bad?" He said, "Because I would go to jail." I said, "That makes it illegal. That doesn't make it bad. That makes it illegal." There's been many laws or many behaviors that were illegal that we now know was not, should have never been a law in the first place. Since we're on the subject of race, we can say, um, white people could marry black people. That was, something that was illegal. So I said, illegal is not a thing. And I said, illegal doesn't make it bad. He said, well, it's just bad. I said, I can introduce you to a few serial killers that think murder is the best thing in the world. And he was like, well, well, murder is bad because it's a sin. No, no, he said murder is bad because God said thou shalt not murder. I said, no, that makes it a sin. And he said, well, sin is bad. I said, no, sin is a disconnection from God. I can introduce you to a few atheists that can care less about their connection to God. And so he was just perplexed. And I said, let me help you. What you're struggling with is your desire. You can't let go of your desire to judge because you don't know how to deal with this behavior of murder without deeming it bad, because you don't want murder to be in society. So you need to deem it as bad. No, you don't have to judge it for anything. It's just murder, and you just and you can decide that I'm not aligned with that behavior. And as I'm not aligned with that behavior, I don't want to co-create that behavior into the world. So that removes the judgments, and that allows you to see it as it is. Because as soon as we judge, we want to put our perspective on it. And just, I will leave with this one trick that you can pay attention to your, this is how you know when you're judging. Whenever you use an adjective, then you're probably judging, which means you're not dealing in truth. You're dealing in your description of truth. Truth are normally nouns, which are person, places, and things. Verbs, actions that's happening. So when you start putting your descriptors on it, then know that you are not dealing in truth. When someone asks you, what's the weather outside? If you say it's hot or it's cold, you're not dealing in truth. No, it's just 78 degrees. That's all it is.
Oh, you just dropped a bomb on me, man. I'm gonna have to unpack this one for a while and rewind and contemplate. This is
So just pay attention to the judgments. It's not needed. When you value your perception to be clear and focused on truth, then your perspective and your opinions and that stuff falls away. It doesn't become important, and you see life as it is, and your ability to live life with true power is is unlimited at that point. So
wow.
that's what we do at Tiger.
I love it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being brave and just speaking your truth, speaking the truth, what it is. You know, I'm still unpacking, but it's thank you for sharing this, because I can see, I can feel the work the internal work that you have done, to get to understand such complex subjects. Sometimes you read them in the books and it's like, oh, that sounds really good. It is what it is, and just that. And it's like you contemplate it, you post it as a quote on the Instagram, but that's about it, But the way you describe it is you really put in some effort into understanding this. And thank you for doing this. And I have a feeling that we're going to have some more conversations in the future, because there's a lot more there to unpack. But for now, thank you so much for your time. Please visit Tiger Success Inc. for more. You have so many more principles, and you unpack them and you tell some great stories. Thank you, Al.
Appreciate you so much, Stas. Have me back anytime.
Awesome.